Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Newsflash. We have a classic, and I don't necessarily mean good, but classic episode for you today. We're going back to the old style. We're starting with a flood of public outrage greeting Donald Trump and his proposal to slash benefits from hundreds of thousands in Social Security with the quotes, "Cutting Social Security is murder." Also, we're taking a look at the reaction to 5 Saudi kill squad members sentenced to death for the murder of Jamal Khashoggi, while the Crown Prince obviously has remained untouched. No surprise there. We'll take a look at the latest bid by France's Emmanuel Macron to quell protests over neoliberal pension schemes as they continue to fail as these strikes continue. We'll take a look at the impeachment stuff and the continuing conflicts with Pete Buttigieg and Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren in the Democratic Party. All good stuff coming in the way. And yeah, so we're starting with Social Security under attack. And by the way, this is something that I feel like is very, very devastating, but it's probably something that would have happened under both administrations, because Obama, if I'm not mistaken, cut Social Security to a degree. Well, actually, it turns out he wanted to cut Social Security, but people like Bernie and Elizabeth actually teamed up to stop him back in the I think the second term of his administration, which again it's all kind of typical and really exemplary of the very, very neoliberal mindset that people like Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton had, and Hillary Clinton probably would have taken into the White House. So Social Security, it's just something that's an entitlement. It's not really a big deal. It's not foundational. It's not fundamental in the way that so many Americans actually do perceive it to be. This policy is policy change is important and absolutely unjustifiable. We all know that the cruelty is the point with this administration, but this sinks to yet another low. This would be a crushing blow to me and my family. Those are just a few more of the 1,700 official comment members from the U.S. public have left on U.S. President Donald Trump's proposed Social Security rule change, which could strip life-saving disability benefits from hundreds of thousands of people. So those are people who have actually gone onto the White House website or whatever and actually commented on this plan to cut Social Security benefits. The proposal, kind of unsurprisingly, because it's not flashy, it's not critical, but it's not something that a lot of people supposedly care about. But it didn't receive a lot of media attention when it was first proposed back in November. It was published in the Federal Register, but recent reporting on the proposed rule change, as well as outrage from progressive Social Security advocates, sparked a flood of public condemnation and calls for Trump and his administration to reverse course. And I think this really shows the benefit of a strong Social Security program, because that is something that you just cannot screw with. When you get a good entitlement program there, it's really, people feel the benefits of it for a long time, and it really goes all the way. Now, that's the problem, I think, with the public option, because that's not universal. That's not something that everybody can benefit from. That's not something that everybody pays into and reaps the benefits from later on. It's a half measure. It's something that could be easily attacked by the Republicans. But when you pass something, when you put something in that really goes the distance, like Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security, those things are very, very, very hard to attack, because people understand how good they are. They're incredibly, they're some of the most popular things that America does, the American government does. A lot of people really like Social Security. Maybe not the rich as much, and unfortunately they control the government, especially this government. But this is a really hard thing to do and really get past the large majority of the public. You can submit comments on the website online to let your displeasure known at regulations.gov. There's a website literally called regulations.gov. Backlash against the proposal can be seen in the this self-public comment section, where self-identified physicians, people with disabilities, social workers, and others have condemned the change as actually monstrous and potentially deadly. The number of public comments has ballooned in recent days from less than 200 to more than 1,700 this week. So the public comment period ends January 17th, 2020, and comments, again, could be submitted at regulations.gov. Cutting Social Security is murder, and this immoral administration knows it. I will fight it in every way I can, said World Commenter. So, Yeah, I mean, that's something that is, I think, very, very interesting. And it's like, it shows you like the real reliance that people, especially the working class of this country, have on these social programs. It's so important for them to actually get looked after here. It's just despicable. A commenter identified as Carla Kirschner says Social Security is her only source of income. If I lose my checks, there will be nothing left to keep me alive. The Trump administration's proposal would add another layer of complexity to the process of obtaining Social Security disability insurance and supplemental security income, or SSDI and SSI benefits. If implemented, the rule would change would require people categorized by the federal government as Step 5 recipients, typically older individuals with serious physical ailments or mental illness, and others to reprove their benefit eligibility every 2 years. So they would have to go through that kind of hassle, and that would obviously be a much more effective way of squeezing people off. Critics and policy experts warn that the goal of imposing more onerous eligibility requirements on disabled Social Security recipients is to slash people's benefits. An estimated 44 million people would be subject to the new requirement if the Trump administration's proposal takes effect, according to Philadelphia Inquirer. And it's something that, again, it really strikes at the heart of the real survival of the working class in this country. And I think people, and the people who are, again, I think it's just, obviously, it says so much about a country, about how you treat the people who need help the most. And I think that is something that is so important, and something that you just got to need to understand if you're if you're just paying attention. I think that's something that it's very, very hard to miss if you're actually paying attention to this in any way, shape, or form. Alex Lawson, the executive director of the progressive advocacy group Social Security Works, wrote an op-ed last week that there is no justification for this policy. The U.S. already has some of the strictest eligibility criteria for disability benefits in the world. More than half of all claims are denied here. It's very, very tough. Lawson urged members of the public to call the elected officials and leave a comment on the Trump administration's proposal, because if they're allowed to get away with this attack, it will only be the beginning. They want to destroy every part of Social Security, including retirement benefits, and turn it over to their criminal friends on Wall Street. We must stop Trump's plan. And if the politicians in Washington, D.C. take away some people's earned benefits, it means they can take away all of our earned benefits. And that's the thing. These are earned. People pay into this stuff, and the reallocation of funds away from this is just criminal. It really, really hurts people. If Social Security is cut, it is just disgusting that this is, I think, really even being considered. And the way, and the complete lack of care our politicians have given to such an important Social Security program throughout the course of the neoliberal age just shows you, I think, really where priorities are at. All right, speaking of a lack of care, human rights advocates really criticized Saudi Arabia on Monday for their lack of care following an announcement from the nation's public prosecutor that 5 people were sentenced to death and 3 others given various prison terms in connection with the brutal murder of Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi in Turkey last year. When Saudis sentenced 5 to death for Khashoggi's murder, we fear that this is a way to silence them forever and conceal the truth, said Christophe Delors, Secretary General for Reporters Sans Frontières, also known as Reporters Without Borders. It's a French group, obviously. We cannot consider death penalty the helps to bring justice. We expect a full accounting, and I mean, probably not going to get it. And I think the thing is, it's going to be very, very. You can't imagine that you're going to see a full accounting from these people, because why would they ever want to give one? Like, they have no motivation to give any kind of justification, any kind of explanation here, because they got away with it, and Trump made clear that they could get away with just cutting up and massacring American journalists because of the status we have with them and our deep business ties that our elites have with their elites financially. Like, that's the reality of the situation, and that is why they are able to get away with what they're able to get away with. Yeah, so Khashoggi is a U.S. resident and Washington Post columnist. He was last seen entering a Saudi consulate, again, over a year ago. in Istanbul on October the 2nd, 2018. Turkish investigators believe he was murdered by a Saudi hit team and his body was dismembered. The CIA determined last year that the murder was likely orchestrated by Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. So because obviously Khashoggi had moved here, he was pretty critical of the government. He was a Washington Post opinion guy. And he can be murdered. What's the big deal? No problem. No problem whatsoever. So in June, Agnes Calamar's UN Special Rapporteur on extrajudicial summary or arbitrary executions released a report which concluded that Khashoggi was a victim of a brutal and premeditated killing, and it was inconceivable that MBS would not, or the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia would not be at a minimum aware of a plot to kill the journalist. So yeah, pretty much it's like, at least he was aware and let it happen anyway, at the very least. No, of course, in all likelihood, he was responsible for this killing. And again, it's just one of these outrages that like is kind of here today and gone tomorrow, and it's something that is, I mean, it's hard to get worked up. It's hard to get worked up about until you take a kind of second look at this, and you take a second look at this and be like, wait, Donald Trump will just let Saudi Arabian let people. I don't know if he was a U.S. resident. So pretty much what this says is Donald Trump will let Saudi Arabia murder people who live in the U.S. legally. Like, what does that mean necessarily? Like, what is that? What is that? And let the Saudi government murder them and continue to do business and make so much money off of them. And I think it's not really just a testament to Donald Trump, but broadly a testament to the status in which we are so deeply, deeply tied with such a deeply backwards country. It's definitely the most backwards country in the Middle East, for sure. Right up there with people like, I don't know, like UAE and like the people who are like Brunei, where they stone you if you're gay and all that stuff. Like, that is just a backwards place. But it is, and the thing about it is it's so deeply tied through oil, through other business ventures that, or whatever the idiotic business venture that he's starting to modernize Saudi Arabia, Vision 2030, I think it's called. MBS is starting, and that's going to invest in America and like make America open for business and prove that Saudi Arabia is in fact a modern country. Maybe give a little bit more human rights, like that meme cast can have a little salami. Like, oh, Saudi Arabians can have a little human rights and civil liberties as a treat. Like, that's pretty much what he's saying now to Saudi Arabia and America, their respective populations and elites over there, just as a business venture at this point. That's literally at this point all it is. And it's really kind of funny to watch Americans be like, oh okay, it's perfect. It's perfect. Yeah. They're lining up right in line when the money train, when the gravy train comes to town here, is certainly what it seems. Yeah, so in the September interview with CBS News, the Crown Prince maintained that he did not order Khashoggi assassination, but said he took full responsibility as a leader of Saudi Arabia, especially since it was committed by individuals working for the Saudi government. Like, if he admits that, if he literally admits that, it's like, it's not that hard of a leap to come out and say that, oh, wait, we are completely and totally responsible for this. Like, it's like, how did I let this happen? This is really, really bad. Because even he admits it was a Saudi government-linked team. How did they get them rogue? And how did they let this happen? How are we going to put up a fig leaf of responsibility, or at least scapegoat someone to make sure that we still get our business and our checks cleared by the United States and our calls returned, etc. So that is pretty much what he's decided to do in at least a year since, and he's done that successfully. Just days later, after he had that CBS News interview on the one-year anniversary of Khashoggi's disappearance, a U.S.-based law firm revealed that in July it filed a petition at the International Criminal Court to investigate MBS. Khashoggi's killing has led to